What if your tears at 3 a.m. are not proof that God abandoned you, but proof that your soul is trying to tell you something? There's something different about that hour of the night. During the day, life is loud. Notifications, responsibilities, conversations, work, expectations. There's always something competing for your attention. But then the night comes. The house becomes quiet. The lights go out. And suddenly, thoughts that stayed hidden all day begin to speak. And for some people, that is exactly when the tears begin. Not because something dramatic happened that day. Not because they stopped believing. But because when the world gets quiet, emotions finally have room to breathe. Have you ever gone through that? You lie in bed trying to sleep, but your mind refuses to stop. Memories return. Questions appear. Regrets become louder. You feel exhausted but cannot rest. And somewhere between silence and darkness, tears begin to fall, and maybe you do not even know exactly why. You pray, but the words feel weak. You try to stay strong, but something inside feels tired. And one painful thought begins to grow. Where is God right now? Many people interpret moments like this as spiritual failure. They think, if I trusted God more, I wouldn't feel this. If my faith was stronger, I wouldn't be crying. If God was close, I wouldn't feel so empty. But what if that is not true? What if feeling emotional pain does not mean spiritual distance? What if your emotional exhaustion is not evidence that your faith is broken? Psychology shows us something interesting. When external stimulation decreases, the mind often brings suppressed emotions to surface. Feelings that were ignored during the day begin to emerge. Anxiety becomes more noticeable. Loneliness becomes louder. Emotional wounds ask to be seen. And spiritually, maybe there is something deeper happening too. Because maybe those moments are not exposing weakness. Maybe they are exposing truth. Not the truth that God left, but the truth that your soul has been carrying something for too long. The truth that underneath the smile, underneath the routines, underneath the words, "I'm okay," there is pain asking to be acknowledged. And here is something most people never hear. God does not only see your tears. He sees what you cannot explain. He sees the thoughts you cannot put into words. He sees the pressure you never tell anyone about. He sees the prayers that never leave your mouth. He sees the nights when you feel emotionally empty and spiritually confused. And maybe that changes everything. Because if God sees beyond the tears, then your midnight crying is not invisible. Maybe your sadness is not meaningless. Maybe your emotions have a spiritual and psychological explanation you have never considered before. So before we continue, I want to ask you something. If you believe God sees your pain even when nobody else does, write in the comments, "God sees me even in the silence." And stay with me until the end. Because what you are about to discover may completely change the way you interpret those nights when you cry alone and think nobody, not even God, is paying attention. Because the moment that feels like emptiness may not be emptiness at all. And maybe that is why conversations like this matter more than we realize. Because there are people watching right now who have never said these things out loud. People who smile in public and cry in private. People who keep showing up for everyone else while quietly wondering who notices their own pain. And sometimes, one honest comment becomes a reminder that nobody is fighting alone. So I want to ask you something, not as a formality, but as a real conversation. If something in this message connected with you, if you have ever experienced one of those silent nights where emotions felt heavier than words, leave a comment below and share what touched you the most so far. You do not need to explain everything. Even one sentence can matter. Maybe write something simple like, "I thought I was the only one," or "God still sees me," or "I needed to hear this today." Because the truth is, you never know who will read your words and realize they are not alone anymore. And if this kind of content helps you connect emotions and faith in a deeper way, take a second to like this video, not because of numbers, but because every interaction tells platforms that conversations like this deserve to reach someone else who may be lying awake tonight asking questions they are afraid to say out loud. Your participation is what helps this channel grow and continue bringing messages that combine psychology, faith, emotional healing, and honest conversations about what happens inside the soul. And if you want more content like this, Content that talks about emotions in the light of the Bible without pretending life is always easy. Subscribe to the channel and stay with us. There is something powerful about building community where people no longer feel pressure to hide what they feel. A place where emotional struggles are not treated as weakness. A place where faith and honesty can exist together. Because what we are about to talk about next may help explain something that many people have misunderstood for years. Why the moments that feel most spiritually empty are sometimes the moments that reveal what your heart has been trying to say all along. Now I want to go even deeper into this subject, because there is something that many people never realize about those difficult hours of the night. When the clock moves closer to 3 a.m., the struggle often feels bigger than it actually is. The sadness feels deeper. The anxiety feels louder. The questions seem impossible to answer. And if you have ever experienced this, you know exactly what I mean. During the day, your attention is constantly divided. Your mind is busy solving problems, making decisions, responding to messages, handling responsibilities, and moving from one task to another. But at night, something changes. The distractions disappear. The noise fades away. And suddenly, the emotions that stayed hidden in the background step into the spotlight. What felt manageable at noon may feel overwhelming at 3 a.m. What seemed like a small concern can suddenly feel like a life-defining problem. This is one of the hidden realities of the human mind. Emotional regulation naturally becomes more difficult when we are tired. Our mental resources are lower. Our perspective becomes narrower. We are more vulnerable to fear, worry, and negative interpretations. And this is where many people make a painful mistake. They assume that because they feel distant from God, they must actually be distant from God. But feelings and reality are not always the same thing. A person can feel abandoned without being abandoned. A person can feel forgotten without being forgotten. A person can feel spiritually empty while still being deeply loved by God. That distinction changes everything. Because not every painful night is evidence of weak faith. Sometimes it is evidence of emotional exhaustion. Sometimes it is the result of carrying burdens for far too long. Sometimes it is the accumulated impact of months or even years of pressure that never had a chance to be processed properly. And that leads us to a deeper truth. When God looks at your tears, He is not only seeing what happened today, He sees the entire journey. He sees the disappointments you never fully healed from. He sees the fears you hide behind a brave face. He sees the battles you never tell anyone about. He sees the prayers that never become words. He sees the emotional weight behind your silence. Many people believe God only notices their actions, but Scripture repeatedly shows a God who sees the heart, a God who understands what others miss, a God who recognizes pain long before anyone else notices it. And perhaps that is why your emotional breakdown is not shocking to Him. Your tears do not surprise Him. Your questions do not scare Him. Your confusion does not push Him away. In fact, some of the strongest people are the ones who eventually find themselves crying in the dark, not because they are weak, because they have been strong for too long. They spent the entire day supporting everyone else, encouraging everyone else, helping everyone else, listening to everyone else. And when the day finally ends, they discover that nobody has been listening to them. That kind of emotional suppression creates exhaustion. It becomes part of the hidden story happening behind the scenes of everyday life. The truth is that many people are not breaking because of one event. They are breaking because of the accumulated weight of hundreds of moments that never received attention. This is why sadness should not automatically be treated as an enemy. Emotions carry information. They reveal needs. They expose limits. They point toward areas that require healing, restoration, and transformation. The goal is not to become controlled by emotions. The goal is to understand what they are trying to communicate. Because sometimes sadness is asking a difficult question. Have you been carrying more than you were designed to carry? Have you been ignoring your own limits? Have you convinced yourself that rest must be earned instead of received? These questions matter because the answers often reveal a truth that has been hidden beneath the surface for a long time. And once that truth begins to emerge, an entirely different perspective starts to take shape. One that changes how you view your pain, your prayers, and even the tears you thought were signs of failure. In many cases, Those tears are actually evidence of something very different. Write in the comments, "My feelings do not define my faith." And maybe that is the truth someone needed to hear today. Your tears are not proof that you failed. Your emotions are not evidence that God left. And the nights that feel the heaviest do not always reveal distance from God. They sometimes reveal how much you've been carrying without realizing it. If there's one thing I hope stays with you after this video, it is this. You do not have to earn the right to rest. You do not have to perform strength all the time. You do not have to hide your emotions to be accepted by God. There is a difference between being strong and believing you are never allowed to feel. And maybe today is the day you stop confusing those two things. If you stayed with me until this moment, thank you for being here and allowing yourself to reflect on something that is not always easy to talk about. I would love to know you made it to the end. Leave this sentence in the comments. I release the pressure to be strong all the time. Not because you already have everything figured out, but as a reminder that you do not have to carry everything alone. And if these conversations about emotions, faith, healing, and the things people rarely say out loud are meaningful to you, subscribe to the channel. That way you stay connected to the next messages. And we keep building a place where people can think deeply, grow spiritually, and talk honestly about what is happening inside their hearts. And if this video helped you see your own story from a different perspective, leave a like. Sometimes a simple gesture is enough to show that this conversation reached someone at the exact right moment. There is a video here beside this one that connects beautifully with everything we talk about today. Click on it and continue with me there. I think what comes next may speak to a part of your story that still hasn't found words yet.